Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. Happy to have via Zoom video conference Mason County District Court Judge George Steele. George, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for being on with me. Talk a little bit about what's going on in Mason County District Court with coronavirus here since middle of March or so. We'd seen some real big changes, and a lot of those changes came down from the state Supreme Court. Is that right?
That is correct. The governor has issued his emergency orders and what have you, but the courts are governed from the Supreme Court, and so that's where we take our marching orders from. Now, to be clear about that, however, the Supreme Court's orders to the courts and the governor's orders have been fairly close together. So it's not like the governor says do this and the Supreme Court's saying ignore what he says and do this. They've been fairly close together. But we take our marching orders from the Supreme Court, not the governor. The courts, because we're a separate branch of government. And I don't mean any disrespect to the governor or whatever. It's just we're a separate branch of government.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it makes sense that they would closely align. It's interesting, too, though, you've got some constitutional things as well that happen during court cases, speedy trials and things like that. How much of that was impacted since March?
Well, I think there's been some very significant impact. There's two speedy trials. One is constitutional. The other is a court rule. The Supreme Court took care of the court rule and put us in what's called an excluded period, which meant speedy trial was not running. And it started running again yesterday. So now we have 90 days essentially to clear the backlog unless there's further speedy trial waivers. The constitutional right requires a defendant to show that the delay impacted his or her ability to be able to present his defense or his or her defense or what have you. And I don't think in my practice we've ever had a situation where someone raised a constitutional speedy trial because the court rule is always far more restrictive. But we'll see what happens. This is a whole different area, and there's a lot of things that come up we haven't had to deal with before. So
I was talking with Commissioner Trask this week about the county commission chambers and how small they can be for the business that needs to be done there. I'm assuming it's the same for district court. There's not a lot of space, and now we're asking to have some significant space accommodations.
Well, what's been going on with the district court, our largest courtroom has always, been a relatively small courtroom, and it's posed problems. The main problems being is that we can't seat the tables far enough away from the bench where I don't hear the conversation between an attorney and client, which I'm not supposed to hear.
Right.
So that's been a real challenge. But for the COVID, it's been even worse. But we have been making accommodations to deal with it. And I think we've done fairly well. I've been told, but we have restarted jury trials. We started our first at the end of July. I've been told by the county attorney just this last week that we are actually the very first court of limited jurisdiction to restart jury trials. We lead the pack in that way, and that's something I pushed as soon as the Supreme Court lifted the ban on jury trials. And that's because of the fact, quite frankly, my belief is that there's a lot of things we're going to only learn we have to do by doing the jury trials and what have you. So I wanted to get started on those.
How was that first? The jury pool and people coming in, and how did that all look and work out?
I think it worked out pretty well. We had about 40% of the jury panel not show up, but we also ordered larger than normal jury panels. And what we've done in our district court is essentially divide them up in groups of 9. And we have different places to have them wait until they're ready to come in. Initially, we started written jury questionnaires. I found it was cheaper just to ask the questions and do the voir dire with each section of 9 people. They're lined up. They're already lined up, so if there were no challenges, no one was removed. The last 2 people in the first 9 wouldn't be on the jury, be the first 7. One will be selected as the alternate. And thus far, it's worked out fairly well. We just bring them in shifts, groups of 9. We do the jury selection on the first day of trial. And then Judge Greer has very graciously allowed us use of his facilities, well, the municipal court facilities, to conduct the evidentiary portion of the trial. And it's worked out fairly well. The municipal court and this court, I think, have a very good working relationship with each other. Large part to Judge Greer. I think the fact I used to be a municipal court judge helps a little bit too, but I credit mostly Judge Greer on that. We've also allowed them to use our facilities when the city building was shut down to conduct their in-custody cases. So it's worked out fairly well, not as well as we did before this ever started.
Sure.
But I'm not a fan of trying to do the jury selection by remote, through Zoom or something like that, because I really think it's hard for people to pay attention to jurors, and you need to have that interaction with them so that if you're a practitioner, sometimes it's going to be a gut feeling of someone that you don't want on your jury panel or what have you.
Yeah. And if somebody's at home or whatever, people lose focus pretty quickly on these video conferences. And if you're there all day listening to testimony, I mean, you can get some wandering eyes, and that wouldn't be good for anybody.
No, I think it's good to have the in-court, which is what we strive to do. So
what about the folks coming into the court either for their day in court, or are you allowing spectators or family members, or is that still closed off?
That is still closed off. What we are doing, however, to limit the scope of that closure is we're doing that in 2 ways. We have audio video recording in LL1, our main courtroom, and audio recording in LL2, our secondary courtroom. So that helps. And then what we're doing is we have our instructions how to appear by Zoom in the court in all our calendars. So anybody from the public can actually get on and watch our calendars. As a matter of fact, oftentimes there is 1 or 2 people from the public who are there watching. I have to go through a announcement that this is by Zoom and give people a chance to object, which I do at the start of every calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I try to do that. There's a couple of times I've oops, we're on a learning curve.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
But that's how people can, watch, the court proceedings, what have you. I am looking at restarting in-person hearings again. That won't be for another month or 2, however, because we already have our notices sent out. But
sure,
that'll be something along the lines of divide the calendars up into sections, and have them come in section at a time. But we still have to work out the details. That's going to be coming here relatively soon.
And the state Supreme Court has said, well, if you feel comfortable and ready to do that, then go ahead and try it.
Maintain social distancing as we do it, and take the precautions. So that means with the size of our courts, I'm not too keen on allowing the public to come in and watch, because I don't think there's going to be enough seats left. Most of the seats we've had removed. So we can accommodate about 9 people in the courtroom at any given time. And our calendars are larger than that. So we're going to, those seats, when we start that, will be for the defendants or other litigants, whether it's plaintiffs in civil cases or whatever.
Well, important to know for sure that the folks who need to be in front of the judges are getting their time in court. And despite all the craziness that's happening with coronavirus, precautions are being met, proper protections and proper distancing. And it is, again, a learning experience for all of us here. Mason County District Court Judge George Steele on with me right now. And as you move forward in those key benchmarks for the court, let me know, and we'll make sure that the public knows. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Thanks, George. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a good day.
You too.